fireside chat on aligning people strategies amidst rapid growth with Grundfos Pumps India's country president, Usha Subramaniam. Can I have a round of applause for her, please? The 550 people strong company offers pumps and water solutions in 4 business categories: industrial solutions, commercial building services, residential building services, and water utilities. And from India, they also cater to neighboring markets like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, and Nepal. Part of the Denmark headquartered firm, Grundfos India has been growing in double digits in the country, reaching 900 crore turnover last year. Ms. Subramaniam is one of those very few HR leaders who took on the role of as country president last year in June 2023. And in fact, she has also held a number of global roles. She was also senior director and head of business HR for the company's commercial business services division. Welcome, Ms. Subramaniam. So let's start with one of the points that I had raised in the intro about, very few HR leaders become country president, right? So, how has your perspective on people, processes, and culture evolved during this transition?
Thanks, Sonal, and hello, everybody. I would like to believe that more and more HR people actually also turn to business responsibilities. It's a little bit like a change of view predominantly because, you can look out of the window of a 4th floor and through that window you can have a view and then you can choose to go to the terrace and have a view which is more rounded. So predominantly it's a change of view that happens. And in that change of view, of course, the change of priorities also follows. Because as an HR leader, you are, and I had, like you said, I had the role that I held just before becoming or taking over this responsibility was head of HR for one of our divisions, the global head of HR. So there it was being part of a leadership team led by the divisional CEO. And then there it was a lot about influencing stakeholders and trying to integrate the different ways in which, from a people point of view, we could enable business results and outcomes. Whereas here it is really about looking into each one of the business priorities. But in many ways, I also find it similar because it is, the influencing part has retained. I'm realizing it more and more that you just influenced it in a different way and now it's about also helping people see the why and helping people understand why they need to do things, which is also a little bit similar because, the easier your, in Grundfos we were structured where the role that I was in reported into the group CHRO, so which meant that, that HR was not reporting to the business. And that meant that there was a lot of partnership that needed to be done, and partnership actually hones your influencing ability, which I use a lot in my current role as well, because it's not about enforcing things. It is really about helping people to understand the why, and looking at enablers. I spend a lot of time looking at what needs to be the running business will run fine. There are experts to run that. It's really about what is needed in the future.
So can you share an example with us on, a decision you took as a CEO vis-a-vis when you would have not taken that decision when you were a HR head, and or how your perspective has changed? If you could just share a couple of anecdotes with us.
Actually, decision making is significantly different in this role versus the earlier role, because you're only responsible for decisions within the HR sort of remit,
right.
And here it's a different accountability. So of course it's significantly different. So there are a lot of decisions like whether and I have also kind of tried to put myself more firmly into the customer space, for instance, into the enabling technology space. A lot of what the earlier panelists were also talking about. So in that sense, decisions are significantly different.
Okay, so let me ask you this in a different way now. So Grundfos is seeing double-digit growth in the country, right? And it is likely to maintain that momentum in the country. So how are you aligning people's strategies with this rapid growth? I mean, in the previous panel did speak a lot about productivity, maintaining productivity, employee well-being. So, and a lot of speakers spoke about that fine balance. So now, as a CEO, how are you bringing that into the company?
Yeah. I think I see that as one of the key, areas to spend time with, because Grundfos is an organization with a very strong purpose. So our purpose, we are relatively new company if you put it that way, because we've been around for 75 years, and in India we are a 25-year young company, I would say. So in that, but we have a very strong purpose, to go back to the purpose point, because our purpose is we are one of the leaders in advanced pumping technologies, and our mission is really to help with providing solutions to the world's water and climate challenges and improving the quality of people. This is what we state, and this is what we really, everything that we do, we try to make sure that it has a connect to this. And people have always been focused on Grundfos. So it is stated as one of our values. And there is enough and more evidence that people enjoy. I mean, of course, all the standard metrics of retention and attrition, all of that look very healthy. They have always done. And in that sense, I think that both the purpose and the culture, broad word for how do we act, how do we behave, what is expected of leadership, what is expected. So all those things are in our DNA, and therefore it's quite easy, I would say, and I don't want to jinx it, but to say that people find a connect with the organization. What is super important right now, and where a lot of attention and time and energy is needed, and which we are doing a lot, is of course the transition. We also see ourselves as being in a transitory space, because we have traditionally built our organizational capability and our muscle in advanced mechanical growth. We were the ones to really, we were leading, and the others were following when it comes to the whole space of pump technology. Today we are, like many organizations, and are in various levels of maturity. We are also on a digitalization journey, and which means that we are rethinking the way we do business models, the way we do go to markets, the way we do product development, innovation. It is touching everything that we do, which means that we have to both be able to carry our people and skill and build capabilities internally, but we have to also be equally different in the way we hire, the way we attract, the way we. So it is a changing people's space that we are in, and there how to approach that, what kind of leadership. The leadership principles are very much the same, but the way they apply are different. We are talking a lot about DE&I, which is also something, right. That. So how do we continue to retain the strength that we have in the people space, while also adapting and making sure that we get more capable on delivering what we have set out to do as an organization. That's probably.
Got it. Great. So, Grundfos, I was reading, and there are a lot of plans to increase the localization level in products, and in fact up to 60%. And you did speak about, the approach now has to differ now. And there is a focus on expanding the distribution in tier 2, tier 3 markets to increase the exports from India. So, and you spoke about talent previously. So how are you now building the talent pipeline in the country, considering, or I'd like to believe, talent is the heart of every organization?
Yes. And India is in a very interesting space as far as, Grundfos is concerned. globally, we do see that there is a lot more that we can do out of India than what we have done in the last 25 years, where we've seen a kind of an organic growth that happened. So there is a lot of effort to say, how do we improve localization? How do we improve, how do we expand our supplier base? How do we look at new go-to-market and all of that? And within this, I think it's a mix of how do we. One thing that we are realizing is it's not important to do everything ourselves. We are also experimenting with partnerships, and what we believe very strongly is that the knowledge we have. Plenty of people in this small organization in India who have been for 25 years, who have been with us for 20 plus years, 15 plus years. So the wisdom and the knowledge is present. And it's really about helping people to use that wisdom and knowledge in different contexts. That is what I see as a task, to say that, how is the tacit knowledge or tacit wisdom that is sitting in the organization, how do we leverage and how do we apply that in a newer context, in a newer setting? And that really is the role of leadership, and that really is where we will be more successful in. At the same time, also be able to infuse in new thinking, new ways of, and we are also growing significantly for an organization like ours. People growth that we are seeing in terms of numbers is significant. We have been recruitment is working full time almost in our company these days. So and making space for the newcomers who are coming with the new and curiosity and being able to think, problem solve differently. That is also what we are spending a lot of time on.
Can you share some real examples on how you're really implementing it in the company?
In terms of the thinking, and
yes,
in terms
yes.
of so we do a lot of ideation within the company. In fact, we had we had something called now we don't do it like that. We, in order to infuse the thinking of how can we had something called Pioneering Thursdays. So here it was a meeting-free day. It was nobody could invite another person to meetings, and it was really about getting together and spending time on ideating, spending time on saying it could be a process, it could be an activity, it could be a way of working, it could be anything that you ideate on, and so to spur that that behavior, it was there was a certain framing put to it. But now I think what we try and do is now we have integrated it. So we do a lot of meetings which are ideation meetings, okay, and which are not really, where it's a typical standard presentation meeting with minutes of the meeting, and so we've tried to do that quite a bit. Then what we have is also we have these cross-functional teams, which are also coming together. It's mandatory. The way we are structured now, we are a global organization. So we kind of reporting lines are, so we are a typical matrix. Direct reporting lines run all the way to group, but we have a matrix within the country. So it's super important in this kind of structure for people across teams to speak to each other and create also the framing for where it becomes, it's not a matter of choice, and it doesn't become where, people who choose to do it. So how to become more disciplined around that.
Right. So, you were actually brought on board as to leverage India as a market, right? So, can you also share, and since a lot of our audience here is from the HR fraternity, how your experience as a HR has helped you take on this role and navigate it?
Yes. So I think where my company is at the moment, it is, we have a small presence in India. I've been with the organization for 11 plus years now, and in the 11 years that we have been, I've held first started out with an HR role in India and then moved to various global HR responsibilities. We had always only seen India as as India is doing well, but India is we are a premium player. And India is a cost-sensitive market. This was the price-sensitive market. This was the sort of, this was the way India was spoken about. Let me put it like that. But of course, there's been a sea change in the Indian consumer space in the last decade. Whether there is a place for niche players to play. There is a increased awareness around the value addition that niche players can bring. And there is an increased awareness around climate and water and sustainability need. And with all the progress that India is set to make, regardless of, the way we as a country work with sustainability, the way we work towards, building the infrastructure with a longer term view in mind is important. And that is where companies such as ours, which have a huge strength in offering solutions and offering, making offerings towards that, have a space. So we recognize this as Grundfos globally, we recognize this, and therefore the ambition to grow in India is quite significant. And to that end, whatever enablement that we need to put in place is, there is a focus on that. And how I landed in the role, of course, I've been with the company for a long time, but I remember having discussions around this role and actually being to a large extent convinced, because I was, to be honest, very happy in my previous role. It was not a planned career move. It was not something that I sought out. The previous role was lot remained to be done in that role, and therefore I was actually in a super happy place. But then this, there was a need in India to take on this role, and I had various discussions, and then pretty much got convinced to take it on. But I have not regretted it one moment. The amount of learning and the amount of, I'm learning every day, and given where we are as an organization, and both, I really strongly believe that what Grundfos can do for India and what India provides, of course, as a market and as a huge potential. There's so much to be done in that.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here. As I was listening to, a lot of the answers, the board must have had a lot of people that they could have taken on as the country president, right? So what were the skills that you thought that, you brought on the table that actually helped you, helped you take on this new role? Because it's a huge role, and I'm sure that the HR fraternity here would want to know.
I think it's a question for the board, but anyway, I'll try to give you my perspective. I think it's in a company like Grundfos, and now I'm going to really, frame it in my company's context. There is a huge requirement and ask towards leadership abilities when there are roles at a certain level and beyond. We call it our top 200, and just to put it into context, we are about 20,000 people globally. So relatively small organization. So in our top 200, the expectations are very clear towards, what is the leadership requirements, what does leadership need to demonstrate, what does leadership accountability look like? Okay. And that is often the starting point for decision making. And I'm sure that was a consideration. And then the consideration would have also been probably there was a very clear need for somebody to also be able to make a kind of a change. There is a change process that's going on in our organization for the last couple of years. Okay. And there was both a driving and a facilitating role that this position needs to play. So those are at least a couple of things, and then maybe it's an interesting question I should ask them now that I'm wondering, what to do.
So cheers to people skills.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to bring that in the second panel as well, which is on skills. So, anyone has any question for? We'll just take a couple of very short questions. Yes, very quickly, sir, because the time is up already.
I was heading operations in the business head, but I would suggest, it's a kind of a suggestion that I would recommend many people to take up this role as HR people, because I have always recommended that.
What is your question, sir?
Question is, how did you manage, because being service sector, I was able to move to that business role. When it comes to engineering and manufacturing industry, the knowledge requirement is something different. So that's where, how did you fit in that there? That's what I want
Yes,
to ask.
I actually wonder about it myself because I'm not an engineer. We are a highly, we are a deep, high-end engineering company. But I also think that in this role, I do not need to be an expert. And that is very important to be mindful of, because if you start to put the pressure on yourself to be an expert in everything, that's to me a road to failure. It is about really recognizing the experts and making sure that as a leader you are, helping them thrive and helping them bring out their full potential and be able to remove obstacles, be able to ask the right questions and be able to be curious. I place a lot of importance on curiosity and the willingness to understand. And I think those are key skills as you move higher.
Okay, so we'll just close the session here.